All right, so what we wanted to try to do next is give you an idea on possible usages, what we call business scenarios around mobility, right? So what we saw just now is that mobility is becoming very basically everywhere. It's no longer just a consumer thing. Enterprises are looking at it very, very seriously. And regardless of what industry you're in, there are applications, there are potential where mobility can do a number of things, improve your productivity, improve your profit margin, reduce your risk. So there's different areas where mobility comes into play. And what we wanted to do is go through a couple of these different industries and maybe give you a flavor of what these things look like, right? And this is just, again, if you're sitting where you're sitting and you're trying to figure out where and how you can leverage mobility in your enterprise as a CIO or as a C-level executive, as an IT manager, these are the kind of things I would suggest you start looking at, right? And we've picked 5 industries that we think are probably most critical in Qatar. Obviously, oil and gas is big, engineering and construction, public sector, a little bit about retail, and then transportation, logistics, and airlines. So if we start with oil and gas, a lot of what people in an oil and gas space look at is obviously around performance management and risk. You also have a very strong mobile workforce, whether you're out there on the rig, whether you're out there on the plant, in the plant. Again, managing your supply chain from an oil and gas perspective is, again, a critical activity that people look at and are always looking at opportunities to improve that. And then from a sales perspective, again, having visibility in terms of what you have as a mobile sales guy in terms of inventory and where your inventory challenges are, again, are things that would be very, very useful to look at and be there from a mobile perspective. So if we look at that, then what that leaves us with is a number of areas where we can leverage this. There's the basic stuff around just approvals, right? If we look at the mobile devices today, we've got a lot of approvals that need to happen, whether it's purchase orders, whether it's leave requests, whether it's anything that requires management interaction. Typically, what you have is these things stay and lag behind for a couple of days because someone doesn't have access to their laptop. So a lot of this enablement and bringing these processes into your mobile devices are, again, a huge efficiency in terms of productivity. Asset management, looking at your assets and maintaining these assets. Today, over the last couple of years, over the last 10, 12 years, as Nick mentioned, we've had these devices, we've had these applications, but they've really been single-purpose mobile devices. They haven't been your generic off-the-street mobile that you can leverage, or iPad, or even a laptop. And these have typically been not connected all the time. They take these devices at the end of the day. You have to sync them in terms of whether it's delivery, whether it's work orders. So a lot of that in terms of technology has now changed. So the power of what is in the market today is enabling real-time connectivity from a mobility perspective and being able to react to dispatching work orders and maintenance and those kinds of things. Delivery confirmations, people that, again, delivery stuff, these things tend to happen at the end of the day. So again, making sure that you're connected at all time with, again, not a special purpose device, but one of these devices that are out there in the market. Again, very, very huge value. Inspections, safety, insights, those, again, from an oil and gas perspective, are very, very critical. Going out there and making your usual daily, weekly inspection and not having to do it on a piece of paper, but actually having an application that connects directly back into your enterprise applications and being able to monitor and assess risk at that point in time is, again, very, very critical. So these are the kinds of things within oil and gas that I think people will start looking at. Other things that we've seen our customers in the region look at as well as we've got a lot of these remote rigs out there, right, with their own little enterprise application where they're managing the stuff that's out there on the rig. But again, connectivity back is very, very not that good. So again, we're looking and we're starting to talk to people in that space where they want to make sure that they've got the infrastructure in place to allow to work offline and online at the same time and not have to worry about satellite connections or what else as well.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Short announcement. The Innovation Theater is getting ready to host a panel discussion about business entrepreneurship. Please join us on the panel discussion. We have VIPs coming in. The producer of Shaka Booth and the CubeSat producer will also be in. Please help us welcome them and join us in a couple of minutes. Thank you.
All right, sorry. So those are as I said, from an oil and gas perspective. So again, the consumer base is threefold within oil and gas. You will see the worker and the increasing productivity of the worker, whether it's spare parts, enterprise asset management. You will see the BI aspect of it coming out, and you will see the sales aspect coming out. If we now look at the kinds of things we can do with engineering and construction, again, it's a very mobile, very out there type of environment. So you really have people that are on site that are trying to get project information. They're trying to get resource information. They're trying to make sure the equipment get there at the same point in time. So if you've worked at these construction sites, they tend to be remote. Their biggest struggle is, how do I get connectivity, right? Do I have an application that I can have in-house? How do I connect back to my head office? Do I have an internet line that allows me to do that? All of these kinds of things now are sort of no longer relevant with the advent of some of these mobility applications and what you're able to do with them. So because now you've got the ability to, again, work offline, online, through effectively the mobile space. And if you look at, again, we talked about projects, we can also talk about improving the win rates of these projects and optimizing and monetizing these projects. So if I drill down again, it's around project information that we can now have on our mobile devices. Same theme around equipment and maintenance of equipment, reporting, risk assessment. These are all, again, the kind of things, approvals that you, again, will see within the construction space. Audits, as well as tasks and updating tasks and those kinds of initiatives. If I move on to public sector, again, that's another interesting space because we look at a number of things here. We look at a mobile workforce, but we also look at an additional and a new channel to reach out to our citizens, right? Today, how do we interact with our citizens? How do we get information to them and back from them? And how do we interact with these guys? So we can see a lot of these kind of applications now no longer have to be done via the internet, but will now be done via the mobile device. The same is true for your mobile workforce guide. People that are working for public sector that are there doing case management type things, social workers, people that are out there doing inspections, whether it's basic stuff like food inspections, road inspections. So there's a lot of these kinds of applicability, again, with these mobile workforce that within public sector have a lot of different usages. And then the third, but not again, is around transparency, visibility, and reporting, right? How do our executives within the public sector have access to data immediately from a BI perspective, from a business intelligence perspective, from a project status perspective? If we look at what will be happening in Qatar over the next 10 years or so, there's going to be a big surge of a lot of infrastructure projects, a lot of planning projects, some spearheaded by the government, some spearheaded by these companies. So trying to get those and making them accessible on a mobile device would be, again, very, very big.